Adam, it's that time of year again. It's the Not For Everyone podcast, Christmas time of year, where we try to get at least a couple, not even Christmas themed episodes out there, but we acknowledge that it's Christmas.
We're acknowledging it's happening. As the holidays are here, they've descended upon us, and we're just dealing with it. We're just dealing with it.
I got to be honest with you. It always creeps up much faster each year. It comes around the corner before even realizing it. I've noticed that I need to have a Christmas moment before I realize that it's Christmas, and I finally had that.
Are you serious? Do you not
I don't
look
have
around?
kids.
Yeah. And I don't tell kids. Do you not go out? You only do all your shopping online?
Well, it's 80 degrees outside.
Right, it is nice.
It's 80 degrees outside. I'm just coming out of Halloween and Thanksgiving.
But here's the thing, Bobby. They talk about this war on Christmas, right? I try to stop Christmas. Motherfucker, Christmas is in Walmart in September. It's already Christmas shit. Before Halloween's even happened, fucking Christmas is already happening.
I don't want to talk about the war on Christmas. That's definitely happening. What I do want to talk about is my first...
Christmas is winning. Christmas is winning the fucking war, Bobby.
Well, consumerism is definitely winning. I mean, we need Christmas. We need it to jack up the economy and put us all into further and further levels of debt. Well, like I was saying, it takes a little, I guess, a watershed moment for me to come to terms with the fact that it is Christmas. And it finally happened for me this year.
Okay.
I was at a little place. Hey, trigger warning, I'm about to talk about running errands.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You got me out of bed for this.
Adam, this is what we do, okay? So I was at a little place called, I'm in a club, Adam. Are you in a club called Costco by chance?
This show needs a format change. Anyways, no, what?
This show needs new hosts.
Yeah, could you explain what Costco is for the listeners at home?
Well, what it is, it's one of those things you pay $100 a year, and then you can buy a bunch of shit in bulk. That's
cost
vetted.
Savings club. You save money. You save in the long run.
I'm in the cult now as of a few months ago, and I'm fine with it, and I embrace it. And
it's the gateway to being a prepper, bro. It's like the fucking the gateway drug. Yeah, well, I don't know.
I got the Jim Baker buckets in my closet. I got a bucket of Salisbury steak and mac and cheese ready to go for the apocalypse. I'll spare you the Costco description. You know what it is. But every time you go to Costco,
it's a savings club.
Just shut the fuck up and let me tell the story. Every time you go to Costco, they get you with one last purchase as you're exiting. Okay, they got a little cafe there. I call it Cafe Costco. What it is you can buy a hot dog or a chicken parm wrap or pizza or, an ice cream sundae. It's all very cheap. It's a very limited menu, but it's very cheap and it's very popular. It's very
talking about Costco food right now.
It's almost mandatory. It's almost mandatory for when you go to Costco. And no matter how much I convince myself that I'm going to watch what I eat and then, not eat at Cafe Costco, they always get me. So they got me this year.
It's no meatballs from IKEA, but that's
IKEA
what you're making
meatballs
it sound
are made of
is.
Horses, Adam.
They're fucking delicious.
I will not eat at IKEA. I will not eat at IKEA. I will.
You won't eat. Wait. You won't eat IKEA meatballs? You'll eat a fucking Sam's Club hot dog? What the shit, dude?
I did say Sam's Club. I said Costco. Don't you bring that evil into this house? We're a fucking Costco family.
Nah, dude. Walton's for life.
Sam's Choice sodas. It's a step up. It's a step down from Faygo. Okay, so it's one. I get a slice of pizza and a Pepsi. I'm starting to kind of grow to like Pepsi now. We'll talk about that some other time though.
Look,
you get a slice of pizza and a Pepsi. It's seriously, it's $1.70 for both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's how much it was when we were kids.
Right. So, and it's not bad. It's a solid 6 out of 10 slice of pizza. It's not horrible. It's better than it's like college dining hall pizza. Anyway, there's never. All my previous times at Cafe Costco, there's never been an opportunity for me to actually sit at the little picnic bench set up at Cafe Costco because it's always occupied by what I like to call Costco mutants. like myself. But the mutants always have first pick on the Costco tables. It's literally like a little picnic table, but think of a normal sized picnic table, then cut it in half. So bear in mind, this is not like a long bench with like a long table. These are just separate little like 3 by 3 foot little picnic tables, right? You with me so far?
Dude, you're like describing a picnic table on our podcast. Like, this just sounds like a story you tell your mom.
So I finally sit down at one of the Cafe Costco tables because I've never had one
before. Was there room for your wife too, or did you make her stand?
She wasn't there. Just seriously stop interrupting because I really want to get to the crux of this story. So I sit down, and then right after I sit down with my pizza, my Pepsi, I get my big basket of surplus food for the apocalypse, and a man in my direct to my right, I'm not even looking, I hear a man say, "Do you mind if we sit here?" And I'm just like, fucking of course. The Costco mutants are out. They want to bogart my picnic table at Cafe Costco. And I'm like, sure.
Wait a second. And I am going to cut you off. So you're saying just because you're a large sized man that you get a whole fucking half a picnic table?
No, I'm saying that when a table is occupied by a perfect stranger, it's generally not customary in the United States to bogart their picnic table.
That's not bogarting. How is it bogart? You're bogarting the picnic table.
Okay. This is not the point of the story. I want to talk about how Christmas entered my heart, and you keep cutting me off and naysaying.
It's a really engaging story, Bobby. I just can't help but get involved.
Okay. So I hear a man, I'm like, sure, that's fine. It's Christmas, whatever. I'll eat. I'm almost done. I'm more or less done with my pizza or whatever. I'll sit next to these Costco mutants. Okay. So the guy walks off. The guy that said that walks off. And sitting down in front of me is a real, honest to God, Christmas angel. Okay. You with me?
It's Santa?
No, it's a Christmas angel. Okay.
Like they're dressed like an angel?
No, it's an angel. It's a Christmas angel. Okay. It's just, can I finish the story so you understand why it's a Christmas angel?
Keep going, Bobby.
Okay. So who it is, it's a young lady, probably about 15 or 16. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she is very, very blind. Okay. She's very blind. So a blind girl sat across from me at Costco. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to, naysay the blind community. How do you know she was blind? She didn't scream when she saw your face. Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that hacky fucking joke there. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be fun. And I'm open to talking to people, and I'm an accepting human being. So the first thing she says to me is, I don't have a problem saying this to you, but I'm blind, and I can tell you look very nice today. Okay.
That's a good opening line when you have a disability. I mean,
it did reek of social skills class, or what a good way to break the ice if you're a blind person. Say this line. It was one of those things, and it worked. I kind of chuckled, and I'm like, yeah, at least someone thinks so. And we had a good laugh, and then the next thing she said to me was, "Have you ever seen anyone with a prosthetic eye?" So this girl's really into eyes.
How old was this girl?
She was probably 15 or 16. She told me later on in the conversation, she told me she was born in 2007. That's beside the point.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I go, prosthetic eye, huh? I'm trying to play it cool and comfortable. I was like, well, I've seen Sammy Davis Jr. And she says, who's Sammy Davis Jr.? So I'm getting at least homeschool vibes from this young lady, if not a little spectrum-y, which is, tomato, if you ask me.
Wait. She was spectrum-y because you didn't know who Sammy Davis Jr. is?
No, not because of that. I think, as Theo Vaughn says, I think she had a touch of the tisms, though, just a little bit. Or sometimes you're just kind of socially awkward if you're blind, I think. But anyway.
Or if you're blind and somebody just sits you across from a random stranger and walks away.
Well, it felt like they were practicing what they learned in blind people's social skills class. Okay, so this is a Christmas angel. The dad just dropped her daughter off with a 40-year-old man at Cafe Costco on a 3x3-foot picnic table. She's asking me about prosthetic eyes, and I say, well, I know about Sammy Davis Jr. And she said, who's Sammy Davis Jr.? And right at that moment, the dad comes back and goes, what are you guys talking about? And she goes, Sammy Davis Jr. And I'm just thinking out of context without realizing how we got to Sammy Davis Jr. in that 45 seconds of conversation. This man is thinking to himself, okay, so this 40-year-old man saw that my daughter has a prosthetic eye and was like, cool eye. You a big Sammy Davis Jr. fan? That's where my mind is going.
Is that what the dad said to you?
No, I feel like that's what the dad must have been thinking. Right. And then he's like, oh yeah, Sammy Davis Jr. was in the Rat Pack. She's like, the Rat Pack is, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. And he specifically, instead of saying Frank Sinatra, I thought this was kind of queer. Instead of saying Frank Sinatra, he said, old blue eyes. And
blue eyes. There's a lot of eyes going on in this conversation.
I'm just like, could you have just said Frank Sinatra? Did you have to go with old blue eyes? You had to go with the nickname on that one. But anyway, we chit-chatted a bit. She asked me where I was from, and it was fine. And
it was Sinatra, bro. I've been listening to a lot of Sinatra.
We changed the subject. She was telling about her doctor and how her doctor makes all his prosthetic eyes in the clinic, and how she still hears his voice in her head. It was very humbling. It was very humbling.
Wait.
Christmas. What?
Wait, she hears whose voice in her head?
Well, she wasn't saying I hear voices in my head. She was saying like I can still hear his voice because she's blind. She's like I can still see his face. It's like I hear his voice. I love my doctor. He built me a fake eye, and I'm learning about different types of eyes, different types of prosthetic eyes, glass eyes, and then ones that just kind of go over the socket or whatever. Anyway, so that all goes on. And then, this is where the Christmas angel stuff comes in. It was very humbling, though awkward for me. Probably shouldn't have been, but it was. It was caught me off guard, right? So then I crammed my pizza, honestly, as fast as I could, because I was like, this is not what I had in mind for today, but it's fine.
You're like, let me cram my pizza and get the hell out of the sight of this blind girl.
Well, I didn't have to make eye contact. So it was fine. It was a nice conversation that lasted about 8 to 10 minutes. And as I got up, this is how I know she was a Christmas angel, okay? As I got up, I said, okay, well, y'all have a good evening and have a good Christmas. And she said to me, don't forget to tell your family that you love them, okay? And then I said, okay, I sure will. Thank you for that. It was very humbling. And then further, this is the real clincher on the Christmas angel theory. As I was walking away, she said, one more thing.
She vanished into stardust?
No, she said, one more thing. And I turned around and go, yeah? She goes, your friend Adam, tell him to go himself.
Thrill me. There's gorillas in these woods.
Mortis, what's that?
It's all in the reflexes.
Chicken's good. I like chicken.
I'd buy that for $1.
Tie in the wind.
Tie in the wind.
Oh, wait. Was she a great big fat person?
I drink your milkshake.
Carpet Day!
You make me want to be a better man.
I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein, and I want to know what the fuck you're doing with my time!
See you at the party, Richter!
None of that happened, did it? Not even a bit of that happened. Let me put a blind kid next to you. you ever seen you? I mean, the blind people haven't, but their fucking caretakers are no better. They get one eye full of you.
It happened.
Jeez.
It all happened. It's all true. Seriously, all of it's true. Maybe not the last part. Not the last part. She was a Christmas angel. I'd experienced the Christmas angel. Now I'm in the Christmas spirit, and I'm bringing that spirit to the Not For Everyone podcast.
Thank God.
Do you have any Christmas updates for me, Adam? I'm glad we're back in the saddle, and I'm glad you're not in my house right now.
Yo, wait, you want me to try to top the fucking story of a blind angel? It's Christmas, so
I told you
fucking
to
what?
go fuck yourself.
Yeah. No, it's a Christmas miracle. And she was right to tell me to fuck myself because I'm a real piece of shit. But it's okay.
This is
Christmas
what the
time,
angels
y'all.
tell me.
This is what the angels say. There's a lot of angels that talk
Let
to
me ask
people
you a
in their
question.
heads.
Last time you were at my house, we're doing Roger Corman Christmas, right? More or less. We're going to do a couple Roger Corman movies tonight. We got Deathrace 2000.
Deathrace
from 1975. You're listening to the Not For Everyone podcast. My name is Snobby Bobby. Live via satellite is Crude Rude Dude, my Christmas monkey. That's your new nickname for this time of year. The Christmas monkeys on my screen.
I'm the Christmas monkey. The Crude Rude Christmas monkey. Hey, man, I wouldn't mind dressing up as a Christmas monkey. I mean, is there such a thing? Because if there's not, like, we should get that going.
There is now, because we just put it in the zeitgeist, and everyone. We have massive influence in our culture.
Everyone everywhere listening to this podcast.
Adam the Christmas monkey.
I'll dress up like it. I don't give a shit.
Hey, I'm look at your webcam right now. I'm looking at mine. I got a question. I got a question for you.
What's that?
Who's my Christmas monkey?
I'm your Christmas monkey.
You're my Christmas monkey. Well, you came over the other night. I got to ask you an update on this. You came over the other night. We watched Carnosaur. We were going to do an episode on it. This is one of the few. I think we have a list of movies that we started to watch, and they were so bad we were like, we can't do an episode on this. And Carnosaur is the latest one. I think the other one was Santa with Muscles from like 2017.
Yeah,
there's maybe one or two other ones, I think, where we're just like,
is it always at Christmas season that we do
I think
this
it's a Christmas mindfuck. Yeah,
it's a Christmas miracle.
It's the opposite of Christmas miracle.
We tried to watch Carnosaur, which is a world-renowned Roger Corman movie starring Diane Ladd.
I remember loving it.
When we watched it the other day?
No,
I don't remember
when I watched it in the 90s, when I rented it at Kroger.
Right, yeah.
It's puppets.
I don't think
it's
I ever
puppet
saw
dinosaurs. It's Roger Corman trying to ape Jurassic Park. It's like literally the same year.
I mean, just to give you a brief recap of Carnosaur, what that movie is about is some geneticist is decided to bring back dinosaurs using chickens, but also somehow impregnating all women, human women with dinosaurs.
And that was the Carnosaur episode of the Not For Everyone podcast.
Carnosaur. It has puppets,
and I don't recommend it. And it's pretty fun if you like shitty.
It was a tough watch for me. Maybe it was just the moment. Maybe we were too full on whatever it was. What did you cook that night? It was good. Is that
green chili stew?
Oh yeah, green chili stew.
Let me ask you this, because I was thinking about it the other day. Carnosaur is more or less a take on the Velociraptor, I think, right? It's a raptor.
I mean, there's one of them that looks like a big ass T-Rex.
That's true. But I was just gonna ask, like, were Velociraptors like a known dinosaur prior to Jurassic Park? Like not known like by paleontologists, but like known by like the public. Was the public embracing the Velociraptor?
And I actually can't answer that for you because prior to 1993, I was in the smart classes, the gifted and talented, in middle school and elementary, and we learned a lot about dinosaurs. One of my
you went to school in Florida, right?
No, in Texas, bro. In Texas.
Yeah,
I'm a fucking Texan.
That works too.
Piece of shit. I'm as much Texan as you are, if not more, because I've been here longer. Anyways, so no, we would learn about the dinosaurs, and I liked them because they would rend and tear and destroy things, right? But what we would learn about back then, the one that I always knew about was the Dionysus, which was the one with the fucking the one claw, right?
He drank wine.
He hung out in Mount Olympus, and he was a dinosaur too. And he would spew the wine from the jugulars of his prey by clawing them with that one big claw. And so when Jurassic Park came out, it was all Velociraptor. And then I was like, well, wait, This is like the same thing but different. It was a smaller version. The Dionysus or whatever was bigger, I think.
So did you know about the Velociraptor prior to Jurassic Park?
No, but I knew about another dinosaur that was like it. That was more badass.
So the answer to my question is no, and that Velociraptors were put into popular culture by Jurassic Park /
Yeah, for sure. And so were the ones with the frilly things that spit acid. Those were
that's
popular.
not even real though. That was all Hollywood.
No, it wasn't. It was in the movie. It was a real fucking dinosaur puppet.
It was in the movie. It was real. It's the Dilophosaurus. I don't think in real life is known to have a hood. There's no way they would know that. Anyway,
there's no way we could know that.
It killed Newman. It killed Newman with that black goo. That's fun.
That's always fun.
But so that night when you came over to watch Carnosaur, we were talking about how my father hates you. And then you proceeded to request him for the 5th or 6th time as a friend.
Yeah, a friend requested him.
Nothing.
I don't think he accepted. I haven't really checked. I'm not too active on a Facebook. I don't think he said yes.
Yeah, I'll put in I'll put in a word for you.
Throw in a good word.
You ready to go? I got a lot. We haven't talked in a while. I got a lot of movie recaps for you. Ready for that?
Ooh, let's do that. Let's do that part of the show. Let's do the part of the show called Movie Recap.
All right, we haven't talked in probably almost a month now. You better have some good movie recaps for me. Have you been checking off your Christmas list of Christmas movies?
No, I have not watched any Christmas movies as of yet that I can speak of. But I did go to the theater and see a couple of movies, Bobby. Now, I'm going to start with one. It's not the main event of mine because there's one movie that came out that's like just the greatest thing ever made. But I went and saw the new Studio Ghibli movie in the theater by Hayao Miyazaki called The Boy and the Heron. Did you hear about this?
Is a heron a fish?
It's a bird. So Hayao Miyazaki has made many wonderful movies. He made Ponyo, which involved fish. He made Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Totoro, all that stuff. And this is the guy who founded
Final Fantasy Spirited Away.
Part 7.
I love that
and
movie.
He's the guy who founded the Studio Ghibli movies, which really, if you haven't watched Studio Ghibli, folks, they're some of the best that Japan has to offer, right, in terms of beauty and storytelling. So Miyazaki's gone into retirement and come out of retirement a couple times. And so every time he's done it, he's made like realistic movies. Like the last one was about like the guy who invented some biplane or some shit in Japan. And it looked cool, but I'm like, really, who gives a shit? I want some fantastical worlds and like crazy monsters. So the new one, The Boy and the Heron, is chock full of fantastical worlds and crazy monsters. There's this bird flying around like chasing this kid because the kid's like mom died and now his dad's marrying his aunt and his aunt's pregnant with his brother, which is actually his cousin, right? But then
Hunter
also
Biden.
Yeah. But also there's like a tower out there, and inside the tower there's like a Space Einstein. I'm calling him Space Einstein. And there's a bird that flies around, but a fat guy like pops out of the mouth of the bird. So sometimes the bird mouth has like teeth and it's like a nose sticking out. It's all fucking freaky looking. Yeah, your hands up, Bobby.
Something tells me that this is a Japanese movie.
This is a Studio Ghibli, Japanimation. This is by. Were you not paying attention?
So it's Japanese.
A moment ago, I said that Studio Ghibli was some of the best that Japan has to offer. Yes, Bobby is fucking Japanese. So anyway, it's real Japanese,
just
dude.
a hunch.
I mean, there's like, there's the best thing about it was there were giant man-size, man-eating parakeets. And they look like really cute and goofy. They're like, ho, ho, ho. But they're like walking around with like knives and shit and forks behind their backs. Like they're ready to just chop people up and eat them. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The Boy and the Heron. It's fun for all ages. It's like an hour and 22 minutes. Tight 80, tight 90 minutes. It ends abruptly. Like you're like, wait, the movie's over. Oh, I can't explain it enough. So I'll tell you a little story about going to the movies because Bobby likes to talk about every movie going experience he goes to. So I went to the movies with my friend and my son, and we had seats that were separate. But when we got there, like the seats were taken, so we just like all sat next to each other, right? Because everywhere now you got to pick your seats. It's weird. So some people walk in like 20 minutes into the movie, And I'm sitting there next to my kid, and they're like, "Those are our seats." And I'm like, "Yeah. Well, mine were down there, and you could take those." And they're like, "Well, somebody's in those." They're like, "You could go ask them to move." I'm like, "Yeah. You can go ask them to move." Like I'm sitting here.
Is this the movie you invited me to go with you to?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And so then the guy's
I was gonna say,
like,
I'm glad I didn't go.
the guy's like, well, I could go get the manager. And I was like, "Man, look, you do what you got to do. I'm going to watch the movie." And he walked away.
Did you come back with the manager?
The manager never fucking showed up. Of course the manager's not going to fucking go find an empty seat, bro. It's like going to the movies back in the day. Like you just showed up when there was a movie and you picked the seat. You can't hear that. I can't hear that at all. Boy and the Heron. Great fucking picture.
Well, you really gave it to the man that day watching a Studio Ghibli film from Japan.
Hey, I just want to tell you a personal anecdote about the movie. You're gonna be a cock about it.
It was great. It was a good one. So I did a little
better than meeting an angel.
I did a little sequel marathon the other night. Okay, nothing Christmas, but one of them is Christmas adjacent, and I want to talk about that right now. These get progressively worse as I go through them, but I watched a little Joe Dante directed 1990 film called Gremlins 2: The New Batch.
Fuck yes.
And I knew this movie was very revered, and yes, I've seen it before, but it may have been just in bits and pieces growing up, but I did see it in the theater. The last time I saw it and really remember it beginning to end, I saw it in the theater. And it is one of those like early childhood theater memories where like you see a lot of really fucked up visuals and explains a lot about who you are today. It's one of those movies. But dude, like this is, I will say wholeheartedly, this is at least as good as the first Gremlins.
Yeah.
If not more watchable, like more frequently watchable, I think. Because the first Gremlins is really kind of a Christmas movie and it's great, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of limited to Christmas time. And I just got a wild gremlin hair up my ass. Decided to watch Gremlins 2 for the first time since 1990, beginning to end. And I mean, the fucking cast in this movie. You got Zach Galligan, he's back playing Billy. You got Phoebe Cates, she's back playing Kate, right? You know who voiced Gizmo on this one?
It's Howie Mandel, Bobby.
Howie Mandel. You got the great John Glover, who should play Arcade in an X-Men movie from
exactly.
from In the Mouth of Madness.
It's got Christopher. Oh, who are you gonna say?
I was gonna say it has Robert Prosky.
Prosky, dude. Prosky's the man, dude. Christine and shit. He's fucking great.
I like him in Mrs. Doubtfire as the bus driver that likes that in a woman when an old lady's, what he thinks is an old lady's legs are very hairy. He was also
he's in Last Action Hero.
The theater guy from Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero.
I mean, we're just getting started here. Christopher motherfucking Lee as a mad scientist.
Christopher motherfucking Dracula ass Lee.
Dick Miller's so back. The guy that played Art from The Burbs, I can never think of his name. Art's got a gun. He's got a little cameo in this movie. Long Duck Dong from 16 Candles is in this movie. It's just a hell of a cast. Hulk Hogan, so many good cameos.
But beyond that, Bobby, it's not just those characters that make Gremlins 2 so good. It's the sheer amount of ridiculous ass gremlins.
Oh, it's bananas.
It's bonkers banana town. It's so good.
Well, here's the thing about Gremlins 2 is you look at a conventional sequel and generally people play it safe where it's like, we're just going to do kind of a beat for beat, slightly different version of the first movie. Gremlins 2 feels more like and I think was like part of the deal. He's like, I'll do it, but like I'm fucking doing what I want.
He went full Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on Gremlins.
Right. And that's the only one I can think of that's like, this feels like it should be a third installment where they just really go for it. But I mean,
dude, they didn't really go for it in Gremlins 2. No, they really, really went for it in Gremlins 2.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
It's not a sequel that plays it safe. Like they are very self-aware. And it's like the Gremlins in the original are like nuisances and they kill people and all that stuff. That's great. But, you know, they do the thing where they go, the first Gremlins is in a small town. It's kind of a coming of age tale, blah, blah, blah. And then they move it to the big city in the summertime. previously was small town Christmas time. Now it's big city summertime. We're going to flip it around vis-a-vis Die Hard with a Vengeance style. Okay.
Even though Die Hard with a Vengeance was part 3.
And I mean, there are Gremlin, like there's just so many little moments in this movie that just fucking, I was just high on nostalgia of things that I'd completely forgotten about, but completely had an imprint. So like the little evil gremlin that like is in the Reese's Pieces. And there's a lady, a fat redheaded lady that you've seen in a lot of stuff. I think she was in the Hogan Family or one of those types of shows. Yes.
My hands up. So yeah, I want to agree. I watched Gremlins 2 like a year ago, and I hadn't watched it since I was a kid, and it all came fucking streaming back to me. You know, I forgot Christopher Lee was the fucking bad guy. And Christopher Lee's so fucking good in it. I forgot that when that spider gremlin transforms, it's literally playing Angel of Death by Slayer in the background. And I'm like, that was probably one of my first, as a child, like interactions with Slayer, and it touched my soul in so many ways. The fucking the Batman symbol,
the gargoyle, the creepy twins that work for Christopher Lee, even little things like that. Of course, the lady, the cooking show lady, where the gremlins
from
attack
Facts
her.
of Life or whatever.
Yeah, or the Hogan Family, one of those shows.
One of those fucking things.
But and even like the little evil gremlins inside the Reese's Pieces, because Reese's Pieces were a big deal. I believe they were Reese's. They might have been M&Ms. At the yogurt shop, because yogurt shops were a big deal.
Oh yeah, right.
And the lady screams, it's a rat. And the gremlin reacts by submerging himself back down into the delicious candies. Meaning that do gremlins, was he responding to the startled nature of her exclaim, or do they speak English and can interpret what this fat redhead lady was saying? Fat ginger.
Oh, they knew what she was saying. I mean, Gizmo perfectly understands Zach Gaffigan or whatever.
It's true. That's true.
There was that smart one. Who did the voice of the smart one? I think it was like fucking Tony Randall or somebody.
Yeah, it was someone like that.
Tony Curtis. I think it was Tony Curtis. It was Jamie Curtis's dad.
Yeah. I mean, it just has everything. And I know, the first time I masturbated was to the female gremlin. There's that part of the movie. And there's just so much, it's got everything. It's never not entertaining. The chocolate mousse, I was like, oh my God, I remember the chocolate mousse bit. Anyway,
here's a weird thing about the Hulk Hogan scene. That scene was cut out of certain showings of it, because I watched it a lot on TV back in the 90s, right? Because it would come on TV. So I remember seeing it in the theater and seeing the Hulk Hogan scene. And I remember watching it at home, and the Hulk Hogan scene never happened. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, did I imagine? You're not dependent on it, but you're definitely waiting for it. Right. And I was like, did I imagine that Hulk Hogan was in this movie? And I guess it was just the TV cut, because I also saw the TV cut of the fucking Goonies that has the giant octopus in it. Which
I distinctly remember Hulk Hogan in the theater. Yeah, the giant octopus in Goonies was a TV cut. Yeah. The only reason I remember that is because I had Goonies recorded off of TV, and that was the version.
Right. And you talk about the octopus, and people are like, "There's no octopus."
People are like, "You're a fucking conspiracy theorist." I'm like, "Here we fucking go again."
Mandela effect and shit.
Yeah. I can't recommend, even if you've seen it. Even just watched it yesterday. Watch it again. Gremlins 2.
Watch it again.
It is
Gremlins
a perfect
2.
sequel, and it is everything you want in a Joe Dante silly let's fucking party movie. Is what that is.
He delivers. He fucking delivers the goods.
Gremlins 2, the new batch, written by Chris Columbus too.
Now the next one is going to take a few minutes because I got a lot to talk about. It's all about one thing. My personal Lord and Savior, Godzilla. Right? Because now,
does Dracula know about this?
Oh yeah. Dracula and Godzilla are in cahoots. I mean,
they're in league together.
Yeah. In my structure, like Dracula is like Jesus, right? And Godzilla is obviously
God,
like God.
Obviously because of the name.
Obviously. Right. He's Godzilla. So I went and saw Godzilla -1. And I'll get to that in a minute. In preparation for that, I have watched about 19 classic Godzilla movies in the last month. Pluto TV is a great resource for people without money because it's free. And it's just like old TV channels type shit. But there's a whole channel of Godzilla where they just show nothing but Godzilla movies 24 hours a day. Very good resource. So I was thinking because Godzilla is my religion, I should really go into depth into the eras of Godzilla, because there are 4 distinct eras of Godzilla that I will teach to all of our listeners now. It started in 54 with the Showa era, and that's with the first Godzilla, and that's where we get to all those goofy ones like Mechagodzilla and like Godzilla's dancing little jigs and shit, right? And then they rebooted it in the 90s. It was called the Heisei era. Now, these weird Japanese names for the eras apparently has to do with who the emperor was at the time.
Now, these are Japanese movies?
Yeah, the Godzilla movies, Bobby.
Oh, okay.
Godzilla's from Japan, Bobby. Toho is from Japan. Yes. So anyways, in the 90s, they restarted it with the Heisei era. And it started out with Godzilla being like a bad guy again, not like friendly guys, like scary fucking Godzilla. And they made like 7 movies and they all connected and the shit was badass. I highly recommend Godzilla versus Destroyer. If you get a chance, it's on Pluto TV. Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. It's fucking Space Godzilla. It's awesome. And then they went into the Millennium era. Guess when that started, Bobby? Guess when the Millennium era started?
2000.
The year 1999. You're fucking wrong.
1998.
99. So
come with me. I love Kashmir. I love Led Zeppelin.
Here's the thing. So Godzilla, they stopped their movies in like 96 was the last Heisei movie. And they're like, we just sold some rights to America so that they can make their Godzilla movie, right? And we're going to leave it alone for a while. We're going to leave it alone to like 2005 before we start again. And then Roland Emmerich made that piece of shit Godzilla movie. And Toho in Japan was like, holy fuck. We just gave him the keys to the kingdom. We just gave him the keys to the Cadillac, and they wrecked it into a fucking tree.
This
like
can't
right
be
out the driveway.
The last hurrah for one Godzilla.
So
not on the Japanese watch.
No, Japan immediately decided to begin work on a reboot the next year. So that's why they jumped the gun. 99. They started doing the Millennium era of Godzilla. And all the Millennium era movies are all like individual Godzilla movies that don't connect with each other. It's fucking crazy. It's great. And then that ended, and they started on to where we are now, which is called the Reiwa era, which started with the best Godzilla movie ever made, Shin Godzilla. So all of that leads me to where we are just this last weekend. Me taking my child to the theater to see the new Godzilla -1. Have you heard any of the reviews about it, Bobby?
I heard it's fantastic from multiple people I respect, including yourself. And I'm curious to know, why is it called -1?
You know what? I watched a movie. I don't fucking know. It sounds cool, I guess.
It doesn't sound cool. It's very ambiguous and weird, but I'm sure it's
ambiguous and weird. So this Godzilla, every Godzilla movie that's ever happened, whether they connect to anything else or not, they all connect back to the original Godzilla movie, except for like Shin Godzilla and shit. Like Shin Godzilla is like restarting the story. This is the same. This is like 1940s. This is the original Godzilla. This is where it all begins in this world. And, oh man, it is so fucking good. Just the amount of giant monster destruction. There's
what makes this different or like a unique, interesting take? I mean, there's like, we looked it up the other night. There's like 28 of them or something now. Like there's a lot.
Godzilla movies?
Like how much can you do with this trope, this character?
That's the thing about Godzilla, Bobby. It defies all boundaries, right? Like you can write a Godzilla story, let's not
pretend they're all good. Let's not pretend they're all good, Adam.
No, you're right. They keep making ones in America, and they fucking suck.
The one with the little boy and the little dancing. The destroy all monsters. That's pretty fucking terrible.
Oh, with Manila, the little baby Godzilla? Yeah, it's pretty bad. Dude, that movie's great,
pretend these are all fantastic films.
I mean, okay.
Isn't Godzilla vs. King Kong like panned? Isn't that like a hated movie? I don't know.
That was like the second or third Godzilla movie, and
I remember the one
like
from
gangbusters.
In the 80s has Jeff Bridges in it.
It's King Kong, Bobby.
Oh, yeah.
There's King Kong.
But there was a Godzilla in the 80s, right?
Fred Decker he tried to make a Godzilla in the 80s.
No, there's an 80s Godzilla.
Not in America. Godzilla in 1985.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I think that Godzilla looks cool. It looks very 1985 in that movie.
Yeah, it is pretty fucking badass.
It's almost got like a Batman 1989 Batman feel to it. Just the way it looks. It's all like glistening and dark.
Yeah, but I mean, all that was the same thing they did with the original Godzilla movie, right?
It was a remake.
Well, it wasn't even a remake. They just fucking made it, and then America put Raymond Burr in it.
Well, I'm not a nerd, so I don't know what I'm talking about. So you like the new original Godzilla?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's got just beautiful displays of Godzilla-rific destruction. The Godzilla himself, he looks more like the 90s Godzilla, the Heisei era. It's a good look. It's a real good fucking look for Godzilla. He wrecks shop. It shows him like his face like regenerating after massive explosions in him. It really just scratches all the itches when it comes to what you want in a Godzilla movie.
Well, let me ask you this. I got one question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Who's my Christmas monkey?
I'm your Christmas monkey.
All right, moving along. That was a great Godzilla recap there.
I wasn't done, Bobby. I wasn't fucking done.
Okay. All right, Christmas monkey, keep going.
Yeah, Christmas monkey's still dancing. I just want to end it with this. Look, I watch a lot of Japanese films, and one of the complaints that I have on a lot of Japanese films is
the Japanese people.
No, a lot of times Japanese CGI in their movies is just dog shit, pure and simple. But Toho, who is the company that makes Godzilla for the uninformed like yourself, Bobby, Toho, they don't drop it. They deliver. They fucking deliver. The CG in this, the CG in Shin Godzilla, it looks so fucking good.
Where does the Walter White Godzilla fall on all this?
Okay, that doesn't even fall on the category.
I immediately regret asking that question. You recommend Godzilla -1.
I didn't consider those fucking new ones anything, except for I will say the Kurt Russell Godzilla show. It's okay. When Kurt Russell's in it, it's good. When Godzilla in it, it's good. There's all these other side characters nobody gives a shit about. Monarch.
All right, Christmas monkey. Let me just plow through these two. Well, this next one real fast and get to my last movie recap, if you don't mind.
Hey, you know what you should do though, Bobby? You should go see Godzilla -1.
I will.
Still showing.
I'll watch it
theater near you.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Well, I watched another sequel from 1984 called a little canon film called Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, good God.
And
how's that?
It's fucking awesome. It's really good. It is what it is. As I turned it on, I'm like, I remember this movie being 85-90% dance montages. And I was right. And
well, that's good.
It feels like a very loose kind of tropey script where they're like, well, the community center where all the performance art people of the hood hang out, all the break dancers and mimes and shit, when people before TikTok, when kids went outside, the community center is going to get, bulldozed over by the man, and they're going to put some fucking parking garage or whatever. I don't know. So some shit. And then they got to like do a dance performance and fucking save the community center and all that shit. It's great. But as we were watching it, like my wife and I realized like these people, like some people ride bikes around town. Some people have cars, some people have mopeds, some people wear roller skates. These people, this form of transportation is dance parade. They just start parades and they just ride the parade to wherever they're going in the form of break dancing.
That's how they get around, is parades.
Yeah, they get around in dance parades. It's I love it. And Ice-T is in it. The young Ice-T is in it. You like Ice-T. Body count.
Is he like a pimp?
No, he's like a MC. Go figure.
Oh, wow.
And he can rap and shit. Yeah, you got Turbo.
Mike Commander.
Adolfo Quinones as Ozone is back. Lucinda Dickey from Ninja 3 The Domination. Fucking classic. It's good. And it's very like, it has some even for a canon film, it has some deep, class subtext to it. And Breakin 2, Electric Boogaloo. I like it. I'm a fan.
Interesting. I don't remember Breakin 1.
It's good too. You could watch either of them in either order. It doesn't really matter. It's about breakdancing.
So the first Breakin isn't about that same community center. That's just a sequel.
No, the first one's
creation.
just like about a dance off, I want to say. I mean, it's just kind of origin story stuff with these characters that are good at breakdancing. You know, you got Ozone, you got Turbo, and you got Kelly, played by Lucinda Dickey from Ninja 3: The Domination.
Oh, Lucinda Dickey even made the cut. Good for her.
Well, she's like a really good dancer. She's a better dancer than she is an actress, I would say, but that's okay. She's a really good dancer. You know, it makes you want to dance, Adam. Sometimes you just want a movie that makes you want to dance. You know, you got in the 90s, you had The Mighty Ducks made you want to go play hockey. The Sandlot made you want to go play baseball. Breakin' 2 makes you want to save a community center through the power of breakdancing.
Did they work? Did breakdancing actually save the community center?
I'm not spoiling this movie, Adam. I'm not spoiling Breakin' 2.
See, that sounds like some bullshit.
I would
dance never saved anything. I'm like Lithgow from Footloose. Nah.
And then do you got one more movie recap?
I've been watching the new season of Fargo.
All right. Well, I watched
okay.
You know, I was on my sequel kick, and this is not a good film, Adam. This is 1997. This is not a good film.
Lawnmower Man 2?
I wish.
Job's War?
This makes Lawnmower Man 2 look like fucking Lawrence of Arabia.
Wow.
This movie is called Batman and Robin, okay, from 1997.
Oh, you watched that?
Yeah, because, you know, it's been hated on pretty much my entire life since it came out. And I remember,
the Arnie one?
Honestly, I saw it. I'm pretty sure I saw it multiple times in the theater. And at the time, I didn't really I was like, oh, it's another Batman. It was really, at the time, it was no different from Batman Forever, which I liked a lot at the time, which doesn't really hold up, by the way. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Batman and Robin. The problem with Batman and Robin, and there are a lot of them, but one of the biggest problems for me.
The nipples?
No, I don't care about that.
Alicia Silverstone?
No, she's like the best part of that movie. I will say George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell do have better chemistry than Chris O'Donnell and Val Kilmer. But and George Clooney doesn't bother me as Bruce Wayne. It's just the execution of the movie as a whole is just what are we doing here, Joel Schumacher? What are we doing? Nipples, I don't care about nipples. I like nipples.
I mean, you know, I haven't watched it since back then. I didn't like it back then. But the fact that it has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it kind of makes me want to watch it again.
Yeah, and you know, you add up the sum, or you add up the parts, and you're like, how can the sum be that bad? And also considering the fact I didn't hate it that much when it came out, so I watched it. I probably watched pretty attentively for like the first 2 acts, and then I got on Marvel Snap and played that while the rest of the movie played out. And you know, the one of the big problems with it is, and I'm a fan of, you know, popcorny, you know, quippy. It's fine to have some fun, audience pleasing humor in a movie. But the problem with Batman and Robin is that, one, you don't want to do that every other line, which they do. Like every other line is trying to get some sort of at least minor chuckle from the audience.
Holy rusted metal, Batman.
No, that's for Batman Forever. But the problem with this is it does that, but none of it lands at all, and it shouldn't land. It doesn't deserve to land because it's like just god awful. And even the like everything Mr. Freeze says, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, is just, you know,
terrible.
If you want to experience that level of Batman, just watch the one from the 60s, because that's actually watchable. This is trying to do that and then mixing Tim Burton elements in it. This is all old hat. But one thing that I did find entertaining about it, to make myself kind of like enjoy it a bit more, and at least a little bit higher level, is I was thinking about the whole time how like aggro and pissed off and fucking like spit when you talk you must have been when you watched this movie for the first time, because you were at the age to be cynical, I think, when that movie came out, and you're also a bigger Batman fan than me. So just imagine you in the theater just like fucking hate jerking off to this. like that did make me chuckle a bit, just how bad it was and how you must have reacted. Talk to me about how you reacted the first time you saw Batman and Robin.
I don't remember the first time I saw it. I remember I did see it and I was like, this is fucking stupid. And I think if I recall correctly, I might have gone and seen it with my cousin and he really liked it. And so I was like, I don't want to be a dick and talk about how much I fucking hated it.
Nothing's changed.
But it fucking sucked. It sucked then. But you know what? I think about it now and I'm like, was it that bad? Because, you know.
Well, see, that's what trapped me. It was exactly that.
At least didn't have Ben Affleck as fucking Batman in it.
Oh, he's not that bad.
At least it wasn't Batman v Superman Dawn of fucking shit.
I challenge you to watch it with your boy. See if you guys can recapture the magic of Batman and Robin. And it is a movie that's been talked about ad nauseum, you know, especially on the internet by bat weirdos like us.
It'll be a hard sell for me to convince King to watch that with me.
Well, that's a good sign. Your son's not retarded. All right. Kudos to that. Kudos to King and his gifted classes that all hate Batman and Robin.
Got that going for him.
That was my movie recap. Anything else?
I don't know. I've watched a bunch of shit, but I forgot.
All right, we're back. By the way, Fox & Sons Coffee makes a great Christmas present for anyone that you don't know what to get for.
If you don't know what to get them Fox & Sons because that shit tastes good.
It's good as fuck. And honestly, like even if you don't drink coffee or you don't want to spend, on premium coffee, get it as a Christmas gift because it will impress. I promise you that. But like I've said a million times before, like coffee is one of those things. It's like you might as well just buy the good shit. You drink it every day. It's like a mattress. You get a good mattress, you get good coffee, you buy good denim, you buy good razors, socks, all that shit.
Yeah, you don't want to be sleeping on nails. You don't be drinking battery acid.
Yeah, don't skimp on. There's a running list I have in my head of things you don't skimp on anymore, and coffee is one of them.
It's up there with mattresses.
Buying cheap coffee is like asking a friend to help you move. You know, it's just like, really? Fucking how
you don't ask friends to help you move?
So, we're vaguely doing kind of a Corman theme this Christmas. Corman Christmas. It's 2 C's. You know, he's kind of the savior of Schlock film, I think.
He's done a lot for Schlock. He's done a lot for cinema.
A lot for Schlock Christmas. I like it. I like it a lot. This is kind of a essential 70s exploitation movie. That what did Roger Corman even have to do with this? Was he a producer?
I mean, he was a producer, and I know with like a lot of Roger Corman's productions, he's the driving force behind it. You know, like he's the one who found the story and was like, "Oh, we're gonna make a movie about this. I'm gonna find a writer. I'm gonna find a director. I'm gonna get these fucking awesome cars made, and we're gonna go fucking shoot this thing."
All right. So before you blow your Deathrace load, why don't you read me that IMDb description?
In a dystopian future, a cross-country automobile race requires contestants to run down innocent pedestrians to gain points that are tallied based on each kill's brutality.
The year 2000. America is a vast speedway. People line the streets to witness the greatest drivers on Earth in a race from sea to shining sea.
This is a death race.
You finish first, or not at all. Death Race 2000. Every car a deadly weapon. Every spectator a potential point. It's a cross-country road wreck, and the traffic is murder.
Who are you anyway?
Best driver on Earth.
I don't want you to die.
He was built by the world's finest surgeons to drive the fastest car ever designed, and nothing can stop him now. Death Race 2000, rated R.
1975's Death Race 2000. This cast in talent does not slouch, by the way. I mean, maybe a little premature, breakout roles from some of our favorite people, but I mean, this was directed by Paul Bartel.
Paul Bartel. Fucking Eating Raoul and shit.
Eating Raoul. He's more of an actor, I would say, right? He's been in more movies.
Yeah.
Directed them.
You see him in also. He's in Chopping Mall. You see him in all sorts of shit.
Yeah, he directed Lust in the Dust from 1984.
Oh, really? Did he?
Which is I'm assuming some sort of tit flick western.
I mean, with Paul Bartel, like I've recognized him from films throughout my entire goddamn life, and then I realized like later on that he was a director and he like made stuff, and I was like, holy shit, this dude is the man.
A lot of rock and roll high school veterans are in this movie. Paul Bartel being one of them. And so Paul Bartel directed this. Then you also have an appearance by one, I think when he was directing the Twilight Zone movie, he must have thought that he was actually living out like Deathrace 2000 Part 2 or something. But John Landis is in this movie.
John Landis is in this movie. Who is he?
You know who John Landis, if you don't know who John Landis is, he's like an extra in this movie. I couldn't pick him out, but I know he's in this movie. But if you don't know who John Landis is, he murdered a couple of Vietnamese kids with a helicopter.
And Vic Morrow.
Yeah.
And he killed Vic Morrow too.
All right, in real life, not just in Deathrace. I want to ask you this before we finish talking about the cast, and that'll come up organically, I think. But one of the premises of Deathrace 2000 is like, it's a dystopian future, and there's this big event that's supposed to kind of unite the American culture around
transcontinental road race,
and America's turned into a very cheap Fritz Lang esque matte painting.
It's lovely.
It's wonderful. I mean, it really puts you right. It's good world building. Okay. But one of the things is like you get certain amounts of points for people different types of people you kill.
Like kids, like little under 12 is like 70 points. Women are worth 10 more points than men. Elderly over 75, 100 points, each and every one of them.
But that's like kind of a meme now when you're driving down the street and you see like a person, like an old man with a walker, and you're like, 50 points, hit it. Is that from this? Does that come from this movie, or were people saying that before?
I would like to think that Deathrace 2000 was that influential a movie, because just look at how many goddamn Death Race movies there are now, like that have happened in the last fucking however many years since then, almost 50 years since this movie came out. I mean, when I first saw this, I was like 15, and it fucking changed my life. I was like, holy shit, this movie's got everything. It's got tits, it's got gore, it's got Sylvester Stallone talking like an Italian mobster, man. It's fucking great. But that was already 20 years old. It's so weird, but I was thinking that when I watched that movie, I was 15. It had been 20 years. It was out for 20 years. Like it doesn't seem like I was that close to when that movie was made.
Right.
Because the movies changed so much between 75 and 95, just in what you could do in a movie. This is like quintessential Roger Corman. I don't give a fuck exploitation. Like it is, it's got some more or less star power. It's got I think the budget was like, let me try to see if I can find it. The budget is like ridiculous for what it is. Most of it was spent on David Carradine.
He was, if that puts into perspective, the budget was spent on a young David Carradine,
because he was just coming off of his run on Kung Fu, and he was a big TV star.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's a timepiece where you're like, they couldn't. What were they thinking? It was probably kind of a naughty movie to see at the time. It was like, wow, this is like pretty fucked up premise, but
okay. So this is the era, right? Like at this point in history, what we need to do is, and this is research we haven't done, because I know Roger Corman was making fucking movies in the 50s. Like he's directing shit with Vincent Price, So at this point in his career, it's the 70s, right? They're making exploitation. So they're just churning it out, right? Like he finds a story, and he found this story, Corman did, called The Driver. And it's this story, right? It's like driving around the country, killing people, blah, blah, blah. But he said it's a very serious, morose tone to it. And he's like, I'm going to make this a comedy, and it's going to fucking make me money. And it was it. It made him money,
Yeah, I would argue to say that this is in like the top 5 Corman movies that people like normies kind of more or less have heard about. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong there.
I mean,
aside from like Little Shop of Horrors and like some of the like what's the he did like some of the Edgar Allan Poe stuff with Vincent Price.
The House of Usher.
Yeah.
The Dunwich Horror with fucking Dean Stockwell.
Right. Humanoids from the Deep is a little more obscure, but that's kind of we'll cover that this time around too, I think. But I mean, this is the one that like if you don't know Roger Corman, you probably have heard of Deathrace 2000.
If you like movies like we like movies, you've seen a few Roger Corman movies. The thing is, I can say like I am not versed very well in the history of Roger Corman. Maybe not as much as we should be, you know. And I'm taking this holiday season as an opportunity for us to get more versed on these things.
Yes, we're going to explore that as we move along through. What was it? Corman Christmas.
Christmas with Corman or Corman. I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll figure it out in post.
But this movie wastes no time. So you open on that awesome matte painting of shitty Fritz Lang matte painting. It's very it very much has themes like you said, like America, like, you know, it almost has like a Purge vibe to it. Like we gotta, you know, this is our thing that we do, you know, we're united in this like atrocity of an event because it like helps you get the let out or whatever. Like, I don't know what the angle was there, but like this whole thing where it's like this satire of like the whole society, though not so much, we'll get into it, is, you know, united under this murderous rampage, right?
Well, yeah. It's just like the Romans in the Colosseum. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And if all you have to watch is what the state shows you, then this is the biggest thing the state puts on. You're gonna fucking eat it up, you know. If that's the only TV channel you get, then yeah, the whole country is going to be united behind it.
So let's go through the roster of the racers first. A lot of great shots of extras in this movie. I thought I'd point that out, of people just like they're like, hey, act excited to watch the race. And then they would just get footage of people in the stands. And by the way, the extras and even the people in general, the characters in this movie are not dressed as if it's the future. They're just like, look like dudes from the 70s.
But it was the year 2000.
It was the year 2000.
Deathrace 2000.
But you got the first one we meet is what, Calamity Jane, played by
Mary Warrenov
from Eating Raoul and Rock and Roll High School and Night of the Comet,
House of the Devil and Night of the Comet. And
I believe Shopping Mall as well, playing the Eating Raoul
Shopping
characters.
Mall. Oh, I love Mary Warrenov. Apparently, she was like part of the factory with Andy Warhol.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
I didn't know that until I research Deathrace 2000.
What is they're almost like pro wrestler characters. What is Calamity Jane's persona? Calamity
Jane's like a cowgirl, right? And can you ask me a question, Bobby? Can you just ask me one question?
Oh, I thought we already did. Yeah, Adam, what is 1975's Deathrace 2000 about?
So it's about the year 2000 in America, right? And it's a post-capitalistic wasteland. You see, the economy's in the shitter. There's only one station on TV. All the problems are blamed on the French. And there's only one thing that unites people together, and it's the Transcontinental Road Race, a.k.a. Death Race, in the year 2000, Death Race 2000.
So think 2002 and replace the French with Afghanistan.
Exactly. And so what it is there's this road race that goes on once a year. And it's basically professional wrestler style characters in badass cars. They're decked out like, if you imagine what like a professional wrestler would have as their vehicle, if they kept their gimmicks while they were driving, that's what their cars look like.
This is wacky races, is what it is.
It's wacky racing. It's absolutely dirt fucking dastardly and muttly and all that shit.
Did Death Race 2000 or Wacky Races?
Oh.
I think this is like, you had movies like, you had like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Right.
And like all these like cross-country race road trip movies. I feel like Hal Needham probably did like Cannonball Run and stuff like that. Or even Rat Race with Newman.
Yes,
Rat Race,
and Mr. Bean.
I
do kind of love Rat Race. If Rat Race didn't end with Smash Mouth, that'd be like the best movie ever made.
Rat Race is one of the worst movies of the 90s, but okay.
Rat Race is great. Are you serious?
I'm not having this conversation right now.
Rat Race is a lot of fun.
The climax of the movie is Smash Mouth. That's the great
I know.
prize.
If it didn't have Smash Mouth, other than the Smash Mouth ending, you got to let that go, Bobby. You just got to stop the movie when that scene happens.
No, not a fan of that one. But anyway, I mean, it's not like it was the first time that this concept was flirted with.
No, it was just the first time on big screen that people were murdered for points, vehicularly murdered for points.
Right. So this is based on a short story or a book?
Yes. A short story or something called The Driver. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Baby Driver.
That's what Roger Corman said. Baby Driver's a good fucking movie too, as a matter of fact.
So we got Calamity Jane. She's our first one we're introduced.
She's like kind of a cowgirl.
She's kind of like a Calamity Jane character, like a cowgirl.
Like a cowgirl. And her
Navigator
car has horns on the front like a bull. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So there's 5 cars. Each car has a driver and a navigator, and the navigators are basically like they're there to service the vehicle and the driver, and it's like heavily implied like they are the fuck toys of the driver as well. Yes. I mean, it's heavily implied. I mean, there's tits and ass in this movie.
I don't think it's even implied. It's basically like stated.
Yeah, exactly. It's flat out stated. So they each got their navigator. First, Calamity Jane. She's got her Toro car that has horns on the front. All these cars look so fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. And then you have my favorite, Matilda the Hun.
Matilda the Hun in her, what was her bomb? What's it called? Her fucking car. She's a straight up Nazi. Her and Herman the German, just wearing Nazi regalia.
Herman the German's an interesting character. He does not give me Nazi vibes at all. He's kind of like a beta cuck, like kind of just like, man, like he's not.
You think that Nazis weren't beta cucks too, bro?
I mean, he's not like your like typical like beefy, alpha SS.
So Nazis can't wear glasses, is what you're saying, bro?
And not unless you're in the eugenics program, I don't think. But I don't know. I don't know much about Nazism, but I do know that Matilda the Hun, which doesn't really even rhyme with Attila the Hun, but we'll go with it.
It's close enough. Matilda the Hun, it works.
I like.
Their car was called the Buzz Bomb.
I think that's my favorite car in this.
Mm-hmm.
Is theirs because it's like that weird, like for whatever reason it has like, the gray and black camouflage, which is
it does look Nazi
cool. Thing, but it looks cool.
It does. It has a good look. I mean, we all know the Nazis did have a good look to them, even though they did horrible things. But stylistically, Hugo Boss, baby. So yeah, there's that, and then there's Martin Kove as Nero the Hero.
Yeah.
Who is a gladiator themed character. Who his car is a lion, which is fucking awesome. And I love the fact that Martin Kove is in this movie because like the other big role that I recall him from was First Blood or Rambo Part 2, First Blood, Rambo.
Yeah,
First Blood Part 2.
And I was thinking when they introduced Nero the Hero, they had just introduced Matilda. And I was like, are they doing like are each of these supposed to kind of represent like a weird, like not weird, but like a distinct, era of civilization or regime or something like that. But then you get into these other characters like, no, that's not what they're going for at all. It just Nero the Hero rhymed. And Matilda the Hun was a good name for we got to have a Nazi because it's a 70s exploitation.
Yeah. And Calamity Jane is the Wild West. I think they were all eras because then next we have arguably, if it wasn't for Frankenstein, he'd be the coolest racer. Sylvester Stallone and maybe his breakthrough role as Machine Gun Joe Viterbo.
I think this was his first notable role after doing pornography.
It might be. I don't know the validity of that, but I'll say yes. I'll give it a yes.
I'm guessing.
He's so fucking great.
Stallone's the greatest actor of all the great action heroes. I will say that again.
He has a natural charisma and funniness to him. Like he's believable as the goofball that he is scary wise, modest wise. I love me some Stallone.
You definitely cheer for. I think I cheer for Stallone more than anyone else in this movie, and he's kind of like the mafioso Goomba guy. Is that kind of his shtick?
Yes, he's like a mafioso, and his car has Tommy guns on either side of the front, and then a big ass knife in the middle.
Yeah,
It's fucking great. So,
the knife does take that car from pretty cool to like arguably the best one.
Arguably the best car.
It does,
I mean,
it's not even like a spike that's attached. It's like a actual giant knife. And I thought that was with like, it's like a Rambo knife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it has a handle.
Blade. It's like this movie was long before Rambo. Like they put Rambo's fucking knife on the front of it.
Well, I mean, knives had been around before this movie and Rambo.
Yeah, but you'd think if it was just a regular mafia guy, they put a switchblade, but they put a Rambo knife without even knowing that it was Rambo.
Predictive programming there. Yeah.
I saw that movie when I was young, and I was so amazed that Stallone was in it. And like forever in my head, I've heard Stallone saying Frankenstein, Frankenstein. I just love hearing Stallone scream the name Frankenstein, and that leads me to the Frankenstein, the number one racer, the multiple time winner over decades of time. Your man is draped in black, head to toe. He's got like a quasi Darth Vader helmet on, free Darth Vader, mind you. He's got a cape. He's got a weird face mask that covers what you can see or visible scars and burns.
And he looked like some like kind of rubber bondage play stuff going on.
Yes, he was like a Gimp Daddy Vader. Mm-hmm. Gimp Daddy Vader Frankenstein.
Yeah.
The fact that he was called Frankenstein is so great. And his car is called the Monster. Frankenstein and the Monster. Oh.
The nice touch with his name and costume was the little bolts on his helmet. I like that kind of stuff a lot.
And his car looks like a dragon monster.
But he's like your superstar. He like it fills in as the surrogate, as like the hero of the games. Like he's your Larry Bird or your Magic Johnson or your, I don't know. Name.
See, I want to live in a world where like the hero of America is named Frankenstein.
Yeah. Well, here's where it gets kind of interesting. Like, granted, okay, the race starts and you kind of understand what's going on. It's nothing particularly complicated to follow. But I mean, it could have gone the route of like, Machine Gun Joe, Stallone's character, and Frankenstein are like old rivals, and it's like a battle between them. And there is kind of a tinge of that. But the real like crux of the the backstory here is the resistance.
Yes.
Right. The resistance to the regime that makes American culture they're like totalitarian fascists as it is, but they're like the representation of that in this world is these death races, right? And the resistance all about kind of exposing and fighting back against the death race itself because it's barbaric or whatever, and it's not a good thing to be doing, and normalizing.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. Like they do a good job of kind of setting up because so the whole thing. The movie starts off very RoboCop style, like just
does it?
Well, in terms of like just you're watching it on TV, like you're seeing it on as if this is a TV show.
And it's a satire. Like you got Dan Steele as Junior Bruce, the commentators, cocaine glasses, and it's also beautiful. It's very cartoonishly, like that's kind of the point too. Is like here's this event that we do that literally the goal is to murder as many people as possible, but we're portraying this as this like cartoonish sporting event that unites the country.
Right. That people love or they're encouraged by. Yay, we love the death race.
Or they're supposed to.
So America at this point, the way it's set up is like since 79. It's the year 2000. Since 79, this same president 20th. Has been the president. Yeah, this is the 20th death race, but the president's been there the whole goddamn time. So it's just a fascist regime. And then they keep saying how bad the economy is. Economic times are tough. They keep blaming it on the French. So it's really just the government in this instance is just keeping people down and giving them a purge once a year.
This is a bread and circuses situation.
Exactly. It's one of those thingies. And Running Man style. But they get these death races. And these death races, I tell you what though, it's a lot of fun, man. I would love to live in that world and watch fucking put people out in the street, cheer as they go by, maybe get killed.
Like totalitarian dystopias I've seen on film, like this, it doesn't seem like the worst one. I mean,
right? No,
it's better than Soylent Green.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Better than fucking Logan's Run. I'll say this for sure. My my personal favorite of all the regimes I've seen in film that I personally stand by is Starship Troopers. I think that one would actually work. Their brand of fascism is the kind of fascism I could get behind.
Cool. All right. Okay. Yeah. So
Deathrace is a close second.
Deathrace is easily a close. I would probably agree. I mean, like the fascism in Starship Troopers seems functioning, right? It seems like it actually is for the greater good, and everyone kind of reaps the benefit of it, minus the giant bugs.
And the people that fight the giant bugs that get murdered.
But I mean, they're doing it for the collective, for the country.
It's true. So, it's true.
Whatever. Anyway, Deathrace 2000 from 1975. So we got Frankenstein played by Dave Carradine. I got a question for you. So eventually, okay, Dave Carradine's navigator is Annie, right?
Yeah, she's hot.
Simone Griffith.
Ooh, yeah.
And she's an infiltrator, we come to find out.
She's part of the resistance. She's the great granddaughter of the resistance leader.
Yes. And I really do. I mean, it's a Roger Corman film, so it's not like I'm asking a lot, and it's very forgivable. But I really do like her influence and the arc of Frankenstein at the behest or at the influence of Annie of the resistance. We'll talk about that in a second. But she asks, like, again, this is the navigators are the people that they get to fuck on the road, I guess. Their 12-hour pit stop in St. Louis.
And also they ride shotgun and they fix the car while the car's driving.
Right. They're like R2-D2, but you can have sex with them.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not to imply that Luke Skywalker never put a pocket pussy extension on R2-D2 and just...
We don't know that it wasn't even standard. I mean, I'm sure R2 just came with that shit.
It's called droiding down. Everybody go droid down this Christmas. I wanted to ask you this because I didn't really understand this part of the movie. Shocking.
Okay.
But she asks him to like take off his mask and see his face or whatever, and he's building it up like it's going to be like, all right, you asked for it. It's this disgusting, deformed situation. And so and then he takes off the mask, and it's like it's a mask within a mask. So like his deformity that you can see through the mask is actually part of the mask, and he has the beautiful face of David Carradine underneath the mask. So is that part of like creating the propaganda illusion of like this, fallen American hero that's, he's got dismembered legs, but he doesn't really, or arms or whatever. Like what's that about?
Let me tell you a story of Frankenstein.
Okay.
Adam eating ice cream.
Okay.
Frankenstein is an American hero. For 2 decades, he's been racing, he's been fighting, doing the death race. He's been getting injured, blown up, and they just keep putting him back together. That's the story.
What they couldn't do to Dale Earnhardt Jr.
The reality is, somewhere there's a training facility where they have these children that from the time they're born, they're trained to do one thing, which is to race and to fucking win. So when one of those Frankensteins, we'll call them, goes out there and races and gets in too horrible a wreck, well, guess what? They just go fix him right back up, send him right back out there the next year. You can't stop Frankenstein.
It's like a Boys from Brazil thing, or like Guar.
Right, yeah. So I don't know if he's really cloned
or how
or if it's just
how Kiss is going into the fucking VR metaverse now. Kiss is going to live on forever. Yeah, you didn't hear that? It's pathetic. I love Kiss, but that's pathetic. They made They made this big jack off announcement about how like they're retiring and this was their big farewell tour, but we got this big announcement, and the announcement is Kiss is going to live on, but it's all going to be like AI Kiss. Like it's all going to be like Spaceman in the multi metaverse, whatever.
No, listen, I'll tell you what though. Say what you will about Kiss, but Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons have really been like ahead of the curve on a lot of shit for a long fucking time. So they're doing this dumb shit now, but like for all we know, 10 years from now, Aerosmith's going to be jumping on board. Right?
That doesn't mean I have to like it.
Dig up the corpse of the fucking Beatles, and they're gonna start with them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like a lot of, I feel like there might be like multiple Kanyes or multiple. I think there's like multiple, kind of like with Frankenstein. I feel like with like that thing, like if you have a personality or a talent that draws money, but you also have the technology to keep that gravy train going. and you have the technology to keep it going. When the original one dies, like, why not replace him, or at least the perception of replacing? Like, they talk about this with, Gallagher did it. Gallagher was ahead of his time, He sold that show to his twin brother. But
twin brother. I mean, that's the twin brother thing.
If the
twin brother thing is trick as old as time,
Yeah, well, yeah, but like that's what I'm saying is, like, if we extrapolate that and add funding and technology on top of it, I wouldn't put it past them, if we have the technology, which we probably do, to like recreate this commodity performer, and just, even when the original one goes crazy or dies off or is sick of the lifestyle, or they murder him for misbehaving or whatever, like, why wouldn't they shove out an imposter and tell the public, hey, fucking Kanye's on tour again, or whatever?
Right.
Much like what they do with David Carradine playing Frankenstein in this movie.
Frankenstein. Yeah, man, he's a shit.
So he's not the OG. Is he not the OG Frankenstein? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the OG Frankenstein's fucking dead, dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of Frankensteins in between. Like, when a bunch of racers die in this movie, spoiler alert, the resistance is sabotaging the race and killing off racers so they can't just wholesale murder pedestrians. And every time one of them dies, the media, right, like the fucking propaganda, is like, no, they're fine. Like, they didn't wreck, they're okay.
I do love how they interview the widow of the first victim of the race on like the morning TV show. That kind of shit's great.
That day they bring in the wife of the first guy to get killed, and they're like, well, it was such a good death. You get a new apartment.
Yeah, in Acapulco. Not going to bring your husband back, but...
Well, I mean, and now I really am even more curious. Now I'm thinking about the geopolitics of Deathrace, because now that we're talking about it, they were giving away land in Acapulco. They were talking about, like, where they were asking where the president was. Like, is he still in Moscow? He's like, no, he's at his palace in Peking.
See, I don't even think that the president's real in this movie. I think that that's all kind of a, smoke.
No, the president shows up at the end.
Yeah, but like, I don't, I think it's just more of an idea. But yeah, you're right. Touche. I take that back. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about real quick, though. There's the massage scene not starring, but fun fact, who the masseuse is for Sylvester Stallone?
Who is that?
One Wendy Dio. Dio's wife is in this movie.
Dio's wife?
Yeah, that's Dio's wife.
Wow.
But you have hijinks on the road, on the hijinks on the highway, which is an alternative title.
Hijinks on the highway.
And you have this kind of rivalry. The first people that die are like, I guess Calamity Jane, maybe Nero the Hero. I don't remember, but
it was Nero the Hero.
Yeah, but it really boils down to this final, last leg of the race between Machine Gun Joe and Frankenstein. Granted, like you mentioned, they've been murdering people, and then the resistance have been trying to murder them with crazy hijinks. Like they put a baby. Is the baby?
Yeah. Let's go over some of the great kills in this movie, because it is the first one. Machine Gun Joe like drives his big fucking knife on the front of his car right up a dude's asshole and just like guts out all of them from the bottom, and there's blood.
Is that the guy that tries to jump in the manhole, but the manhole was covered?
No, that was later on. So there's also the manhole guys. People playing chicken is they'll stand there in the road while the cars are coming, and they jump into a manhole before the car gets there. Well, two of them did it and then closed it so that their friend could get killed, which is just great fucking friends. Let's go manhole with them, right? But then those two got run over when they were sticking their head out and laughing. Lots of blood.
Do you think society would kind of adapt to that, knowing that the death race was coming through their town? They're like, let's just hang out inside today till the death race is gone. So
I think some brave souls would go out for it.
They're like, we're not letting the death racers take away our freedom. We're going to work today.
Well, I feel like some of them they loved it. People loved it. They were like, okay with it. I think in that society, if you were like, well, Jimmy Kimball got run down in death race. Yeah, man, he went out good. You know what I mean? Like
Detective John Kimball.
I did say John Kimball, didn't I? Yeah, that guy. So So
So
there
yeah,
you
maybe
go.
it's almost like a martyrism or like a badge of honor if you got murdered by the Death Racers. Like you said, like they honored that woman won the apartment in Acapulco, right? Like, so it's not like the worst thing that it's not like, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's to each their own kind of thing.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like, fuck your job if you're going to make you go out and do road work during Death Race. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like of all the jobs to be doing that day, it's like, let's go work on the road where the Death Racers are definitely coming through today.
No, my favorite was there's a kid who was like using a stick to roll a tire down the road. Like a whole ass tire. He's just rolling it down the road with a stick because it's Death Race. Like maybe
just like
he was just
what we did in the
kid.
80s.
Yeah, the year 2000 at this point, in Death Race history. I don't know. I mean, that was a good one. There's one where they wheeled out a bunch of old people into the road. It was euthanization day at the hospital. Euthanization day. But then Frankenstein, he does a twist on it, and he drives through the driveway and knocks out all the nurses and doctors and not the old people.
Well, I think my favorite kill is probably Machine Gun Joe with the fisherman.
Yeah, it's a good one.
You think he's going to get away because he kind of like resorts to running. He's like, you got to go back to the highway. You got to go back the other way and blah, blah, blah. And then he says, he's like, oh, I love you, Frankenstein. He mistakes him. I don't know if he mistakes him for Frankenstein or he's just trolling them, one of the two. But that really sets him off. And he starts chasing him in his car down a stream where he's fishing. And you think this guy might get away because he's like, oh, I'll just run through the stream. A car can't go in the stream. But Machine Gun Joe's car can definitely go in that little stream. And he runs him right over.
So all those cars, yeah, it's amazing. And when he runs them over, he like peels out and there's like that pink blood spray. Oh, it's fucking beautiful. All those cars were like apparently Carmen Gia's, all of them. And they just took the frame and gutted it and like just took the top off. So he went to a guy to get these cars made and just had the Volkswagens and had them build the things on top. Now there was only one car of each. There were no extras, right? So like when the cars got destroyed on screen, like they were really getting destroyed. It was just that one car. So, you watch like Dukes of Hazzard and it's like, well, how many fucking General Lees are there, But with this, there was only legit one of each of those because that's all they could afford. God, it's amazing. It's just like, tight budgets. You'd make the movie.
According to a quick Google search, this was made for $300,000, which was not. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was like more than you would think in 1975, I think. But it did, according to sources, it did gross 4.8 million in the United States, and then another count says 5.25 million. So it made something.
It made
at the box
money.
office. It's not even Betamax sales or whatever.
Right.
So I mean,
this is what you had to go by in 75 was the box office.
Corman is not a slouch when it comes to making money. I don't think. I think that's kind of the goal here. He's kind of like a America's Golden and Globus kind of thing.
Right. I mean, he's like, look, he makes these movies, and they may not make huge. They're not like fucking Titanic levels of money, but he turns a profit. He turns a profit on them. And that's what you're trying to do.
That's my favorite formula, I think, is like, hey, here's a wacky script. Here's a little bit of money. Just go nuts. I don't fucking care. Just make the money back and net a little something on top. I mean, that's essentially what, what's his name? Toby Hooper with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And, a lot of those canon movies are the same thing.
Excuse me.
But so you have this final kind of showdown between Machine Gun Joe and Frankenstein. But at this point, you're thinking like, okay, is this the climax of the movie? And it is, but it isn't. I mean, it's the climax of the race, I would say. And eventually Machine Gun Joe has his comeuppance because Frankenstein's the greatest that's ever lived of all time, right?
Well, no. So what happens is by this point in the film, Annie, who is Frankenstein's navigator, and he have come to an agreement that they don't like the president. And Frankenstein, he's shown his whole unaltered body to Annie, but he always wears one glove. because he's waiting to shake the president's hand with the hand under the glove. And when he takes the glove off, in the middle of his hand, there's a grenade, like half a grenade sticking out of his hand. He's like, it's a hand grenade. And I'm like, oh my God, that is the fucking funniest thing.
It's a good joke.
They said straight faced. And so he's planning on using that hand grenade to shake the president's hand and blow him up. Now, also, there's a line there where she's like, I don't want you to die.
And his love for Annie didn't turn him.
No, he already planned on killing the president.
Oh, well, they just had, that's a great coincidence then. Huh?
Yeah, their agenda is just aligned more than they realized. But there's a great line there where she's like, but I don't want you to die. And he says, but it's my life's work. And I was like, oh, that's fucking funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, Frankenstein is a slave of the regime when you think about it. Like he wants his freedom and he wants to free everyone else from this awesomely oppressive, wonderful death race dystopia, which is fun.
I know. I mean, it seems like a great time. It's better than fucking football.
So after the showdown between Frankenstein and Machine Gun Joe and his navigator end up getting blown up.
Yeah, because Annie throws the hand grenade in there. There's also a scene earlier where it's David Carradine and Sylvester Stallone fist fighting. It's a pretty good fist fight, 70s fist fight, lots of dramatic music and flinging around. And I'm like, whoa, dude, it's like Kung Fu versus fucking Rambo right now. This is just amazing.
So should we spoil the indie?
Yeah.
All right. Take us home.
Blowing my nose while eating chips. So I got a little loud. So Annie and Frankenstein, last drivers left. They show up at the end in New Los Angeles, which looks like just one weird matte painting building that looks like a pyramid or something. But the president's there. Mr. President's there. He's gonna shake their hand. And so they go up, and Frankenstein walks up at the top. And it's not really Frankenstein, though. It's the broad. It's Annie, dressed like Frankenstein. And then Frankenstein's still in the car, and he takes off and drives it into the big podium that the president's on, and he fucking kills the president. The president is dead. So who is elected president immediately thereafter?
Frankenstein.
Well, obviously, Frankenstein. President fucking Frankenstein.
And the first lady is Annie.
Yeah, he's going to hit that forever. This is his lifelong navigator. And I mean, realistically, I guess, I don't know. It never really explains whether this was this Frankenstein's first race or, you know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, Frankenstein's more of an idea than a character, I think. And
so somewhere there's a test facility with all these would-be Frankensteins that never got the cut because this one like killed the president and became the president.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they were freed too.
Maybe. Then he eliminated the death races, which is why there was never a sequel, I guess, because President Frankenstein won. And then in his last action, he drives over Junior, the TV guy, because he was being a dick.
Love it. So he still keeps a little remnant of that tradition, even in the pre-credits. Now, did you see the Jason Statham remake? I've never seen it.
Yeah, I did. It wasn't that great. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't that bad either. I need to watch it again because when I watched it, I didn't have the love for Jason Statham that I do in my life now. You know? All
right. Well, going back to the original from 1975, Roger Corman Christmas, I definitely recommend Deathrace 2000.
100%. It'll change your life.
You want wacky races, but with murder? Man, this is it, baby.
I always love the wacky races.
Me too. I think Hanna-Barbera was my favorite shit of childhood, of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say Hanna-Barbera is my shit. I think like Wacky Races and Thundar the Barbarian.
Dude, Jabberjaw?
Nah, fuck Jabberjaw.
It was Scooby-Doo with a shark.
I know, and I hate Scooby-Doo. Space Ghost is badass. Birdman's badass.
You're just naming
Thundar the Barbarian was badass. What?
You're just naming Adult Swim shows. You're like...
I liked Droopy Dog and Quick Draw McGraw. I liked when Quick Draw was El Kabong. That shit was good.
I like Snagglepuss. Exchange left.
He was
even. He was like what gay people were before you could talk about gay people. It was.
I know, he's so great. Did they ever cancel him? I know they canceled Pepe Le Pew, but that's Warner Brothers.
Fucking better not.
Dude, they canceled Pepe Le Pew. You know that, right?
Well, he is kind of a rapist. I'm not into cancel culture, but if you're going to cancel someone, I think that's a pretty solid choice.
I don't know, man. Like, I was raised when they would
I was raised not to rape cats in France.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, like, when I watched those cartoons when I was a kid, it didn't make you want to rape cats. It was just funny. It's just fucking funny.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's not allowed to be funny anymore.
I love Speedy Gonzalez, and I guarantee a lot of Mexicans I know love Speedy Gonzalez.
Fuck yeah, they did.
So fuck all that noise. Keep rapist skunks. Keep Mexican stereotype rats, and keep a holly jolly Christmas in your heart.
Okay.
Any final thoughts on Deathrace 2000?
Watch it right now. It's free on Tubi. Watch that shit. And go watch Godzilla Minus 1 because it's still showing in the theaters because America realizes what a good Godzilla looks like.
All right, Adam, I got a pretty light week next week, so let's try to knock out Humanoids from the Deep before or around Christmas.
All right. Let's do it on Christmas Day. It'll be like a present.
That's fine.
We'll see. All right, homeboy.
I got all kinds of presents for you. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.